out here at the Share Farm and Logan Center, and this is our second year on this project. This year we came in and we put corn in, which was again a challenge this spring, as most farmers had a difficult spring with wet conditions and the soils were just saturated. But we did get the corn planted, and then we interseeded the corn with actually a farmer-built piece of equipment, which I always love using stuff that farmers are working with and creating. So we seeded 60 pounds of cereal rye, 2 pounds of radish, and 2 pounds of winter camelina. This is an excellent catch on an interseeded cover crop. You can see how tall this rye is. It's really amazing how well it's done. And I think a lot of that's because when we ran the interseeder in this corn, it actually seeded it. It didn't just broadcast it, but it actually seeded it in the ground. And so that gives us just a much better establishment of cover crop. And I think that's pretty critical when we're looking at interseeding is you can fly it on, you can broadcast it, you can do all kinds of ways to get it in there, but really the seeding of the cover crop in the soil is one of the best ways to get it established. One of the things I look at when we get this rye established in corn is how much is it growing and what's it going to be like to manage next spring. And so with the rye getting actually such a decent stand in here, we're going to get some growth when the corn is drying down and also when it's harvested, because we're going to have that sunlight come to the rye, and also it's going to be cooler temperatures, so it's actually going to do a little bit better and put on some growth and some biomass. So it means that next spring we're going to need to watch it and make sure that before we plant soybean into it, that number one, it hasn't dried up the soil too much. And if it is doing that and it's a dry spring, then we need to terminate the rye early. If it's a wet spring, we can let it grow and then plant the soybean into it later after it's managed some moisture. One of the things I really like about interseeding corn is that where you have an imperfect stand, the cover crops actually will compete with some of the weeds that may come into this area. So it just gives you a little extra competition to help with your herbicide program potentially in these areas where your corn stand is not perfect.